So let's start off with go ahead and introduce yourself, your name, your trade, and your years of field experience.
Well, my name is Robert Browning. I'm a licensed journeyman electrician in the state of Florida. I've been doing electrical work for the past 29 years. Um, uh, Mainly the last 20 so years, haven't been in the field, but they've been more in an office capacity as an operations manager, project foreman, um, kind of second man in charge type of deal.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I kind of got out of the electrical trade last year into a little bit of traveling solar assessments for the United States government. I really enjoyed that type of work, working remote and actually getting out and traveling, putting eyes on different things, and really turned me on to the working remote aspect. Was able to spend the last year with my family. It was very, very enjoyable. So,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sounds like you got a lot of experience, real world experience and field experience. So that's pretty cool. I like that.
yeah.
So let's what kind of electrical or mechanical work did you well, okay, you already answered that. Um, what motivated you to join the SCD Builders BIM VDC training?
Oh, it's very interesting to me. I was, like I say, I was doing traveling assessments, looking for another role, came across it on the computer, LinkedIn actually, and started reading into it. And BIM, I didn't have no idea what BIM was, what it was all about. I started doing some research and really enjoyed it. So I followed up on their advertisement, their role. I've been enrolled here since August and looking forward to the next step. Very excited about it.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I've been in it since July, so you're one of the veterans too. So
Yeah.
that's cool. All right. So um what made you decide to, drop all your tools or and everything and decide to come over here and pick up a keyboard and, try to start doing some modeling and some BIM and stuff like that? What made you do that?
Well, basically, that started probably back in the early 90s, where I was working. They asked me to put my tool belt down and come into the office. The owner of the company I worked for had a stroke, or a mini stroke.
Mm,
His doctors informed him he can't do it all himself. I guess he liked my work ethic and my approaches. Brought me into the office and really trained me from that point on estimating projects, project management. Answering the phones, tracking materials, all that kind of stuff. And with he knew I had a little bit of a computer background from my years in the military, military service. Yeah, and we just picked up, and we made a friendship and made it work for 20 plus years doing
that's
that kind of
awesome.
work, doing that kind of work. So, my I got a lot of field experience, but the majority of the last, like I say, 20 years have been just office type work, computer type work, programs,
That's
keeping
cool.
track of projects as builds, so on and so forth.
So you're pretty much made for this position, and
I
yeah,
like
that's
to
that's
think so.
awesome. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So what have you learned so far that's been the most valuable in this program?
That's almost like a trick question. I've learned
It is, I know. I know.
I've learned so much about different aspects of layout. Probably the biggest thing I've gotten out of this is Revit. I mean, I did not know there was a tool that you could actually lay out the job, take off the job, design the job, and follow the whole job via just one program.
Yeah.
To me, that's amazing, and there's a lot to it.
Hmm.
I mean,
That's cool.
I haven't even scratched the surface of it yet.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and yeah, it's almost like, in a way, like I still go back to where I used to work and get ice on Fridays. Shoot the shit with the guys in the field.
Hmm.
But it's almost like, man, you guys got to see this. If you knew this was out there,
Yeah,
it would make your estimating and your project management in your life so much better.
exactly.
Type of thing.
Yeah. So what's cool is the company I used to work for, my old boss, he used to use Bluebeam and Revit and stuff like that. But I didn't know he was using it until, it was like a month until I was gonna leave. And then I finally, started looking into it a little bit. And then because by then I was already in the training and I was, doing the BIM training and stuff like that. So when I saw the programs on his computer, I was asking, I was like, "Oh, you use Revit and Bluebeam and stuff?" He's like, "Yeah, that's how I, take off most of my jobs and all that." And I was like, "Wow, okay, cool. Sweet."
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's awesome. Um, how has SED supported your learning and your professional growth?
Well, I mean, you'll know this as well as me. I mean, we kind of started from the ground floor up on their education program. It's been a little tricky to navigate so far.
Hmm.
I think once they work out the bugs, this is going to be a great thing for guys coming from the field into this type of work.
Yeah,
So it's just, I mean, SED has done the best they can. I know this is the beginning aspect of it, but once they get it, the instructions, and on a steadier basis, not changing formats and swapping things around, be a really good deal.
that's good. That's good. I like that. I feel the same way. Um, So how does having real electricians doing BIM modeling make a difference?
Oh, huge difference. I mean, the computer people are what they are, computer people,
Exactly.
and I'm just watching the programs, looking at it, going, I see a lot of things. How you going to do this? How you going to strap that?
Mm-hmm.
I've
Mm-hmm.
been watching the layouts and all that, and when I did it, we put everything we could in the dirt as possible. I mean, everything
Mm-hmm.
went in the dirt. You
Mm-hmm.
tried to run as little bit overhead so you don't have those trade construction conflicts.
Exactly. Totally
So
agree with that one. Yeah.
I noticed in their training they don't talk about that or do that very much, and it could be the areas that they're used to working in. I know if you're going to try to dig in the mountains, it's a lot harder than digging in Florida. So
Mm,
I mean, I get it.
yeah. Yeah. It's different in every state too, a lot of California we do underground, but uh a lot of the stuff is, shopping malls and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff's got to go through these corridors and these shops and stuff like that. They have exterior electrical rooms. You have to run your electrical through the building just to get to the shop and stuff like that. And these most of the time these shops are already built. You know, a lot
Yeah,
of it's a lot of renovations mostly in California. There's a lot of big builds and stuff like that, but most of the time it's a lot of renovations. It's renovating this, renovating that, rebuilding this, rebuilding that electrical system. So I know what you mean, though. It's a lot easier when we can go underground, and it just makes it so much easier for us because we know exactly what's going on with our underground. We know where it's going. We know how it's going to be installed and stuff like that. So and
oh
it's
yeah,
never going to run into something unless you're running into some other electrical that's underground or, some plumbing or a drain line or something like that. And
yeah,
most
yeah.
of the time you're not really hitting shit like that because you gotta understand you got an understanding where stuff is at because you got a scanning company that comes in and scans the ground for you and tells you where everything's at, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So yeah, I'm on board with that. I like that. What kinds of problems happen when BIM models are made by people without field experience?
I would imagine you'd probably run into more clashes, and spend more time trying to resolve those. Elevation and heights of ductwork, sizes
Mhm.
of ductwork.
Mhm.
I think the guys with field knowledge know when you're setting up your strapping systems, by NEC, you got to be so many feet apart. I notice on a lot of these BIM models that we've been playing with, haven't sat there and measured them, but I can just tell by looking at them. Yeah, you're over, 10 feet or you're at 8 feet.
Mhm.
Got additional strapping and stuff like that. Just things I've seen. There's probably a lot more to it.
Yeah,
Um, especially when you're starting to lay out electrical and electrical rooms and trying to maintain clearances and stuff, all that
Of
kind of
course.
thing.
Of course. Yeah. Um, let's move on here. Let me see. Uh, so what kind of type of BIM VDC projects do you want to work on next? Data centers, hospitals, or commercial?
I'd do any. I mean, I've never done a data center. It would be new to me. Most of
Mm-hmm.
my hospital work is renovations that I've done in
Okay.
the past. I've never, I mean, I've bid some major renovations and I've bid some new facilities. Can't say that I ever won any and worked on them, but and commercial works it is what it is. Commercial work. It's
Yeah.
repetitive, you know.
Very repetitive. Yep.
Yeah, they're all pretty much the same. So
Yeah.
I'm actually open to anything.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that. How do you see yourself adding value as a BIM or VDC manager?
Oh, it's I once again back to the having the trade knowledge, spending the time
Mm-hmm.
in the field, knowing how things go together. You know, being able to make it easier on the guys in the field is key. I mean, it kind of was my job before, making sure of purchasing materials, having a good layout, those sorts of things. But being able to do it digitally, I think that's going to be pretty cool.
That's good. I like that. Um, let's see. What strengths do you bring to a project team in coordination or problem solving?
Oh, once again, my experience. I mean, problem
Yeah,
solving. That was our job title. We were professional problem solvers as an
that's awesome.
electrician. You know,
Yep.
you had to deal with the painter. You had to deal with of course, all the electrical and plumbing, general contractor. Framers and all that kind of stuff. You solve problems.
Hmm.
Anybody that it thinks it's a wire, it's an electrician. You know,
Yep. Yep.
even though it's fiber optic cable, 40
Yeah.
pair phone lines, it's a wire. It belongs to the electrician.
That's so true. Would you recommend this training to other tradespeople and
Almost,
why?
well, most definitely recommend it. I mean, it's the future. It's the way things are going. Um, and it's worth it. I mean, you just I can call myself an electrician, been an electrician, but this to me, it's new edge, new technology. It is awesome.
That's
Um,
cool. I like
and
that.
I actually do have a few people that I know that are looking to transition uh, from the field into this kind of work, and I haven't mentioned this to them yet because I kind of want to finish the program, see how it goes, see what's on the plate next before I, you know, put my
Of
neck
course,
out
of
there.
course. I'm right there with you. I'm the same way. I've got a couple of people that I want to introduce this to as well that would really benefit off of this training and with their families and
Yeah.
just everyday life, it'd be better for them. So yeah, I definitely recommend this as well. Totally agree with that. Um uh what would you tell those other tradespeople who are thinking about learning them? What would you tell them? How would you intrigue them?
I was just basically saying, starting off with talking about computers, I know, like I say, a lot of people I know are video gamers, try to express to them like, hey, you get in on your work and make it like a video game, computer games and stuff like that and make good money and stay home with your kids. So it's a way to go.
Yeah, yeah,
Way to go.
exactly. Cool, man. This is moving right along. My last one, it moved pretty quickly. By the time I was getting to like the last of my questions, it was already like almost 8:30. It was like the 30-minute mark, and I was like, man, I still have some more questions. Trying to finish up these meetings, but um, we'll make it there to the 8:30 mark here. I got another one right after this, so uh, don't hate me if I cut it short. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
make sure we get all the questions answered and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
but you're doing great. This is This is awesome. This is going to be great for your future as far as, future with SCD. Um, you know, SCD is actually probably going to be making offers to some people and stuff like that, but they've got a ton of work right now and a ton of clients that need people like us to come run their department, their BIM departments, and start, start these projects that they have. And I feel like you're going to be one of those guys that are just going to be up there, maybe running one of the departments, the BIM departments for one of these clients and stuff. You got a lot of experience, which is really good, and a lot of um, computer experience, in the office experience, and that's a big plus because you got the field experience as well, and constructability, what needs to be done to build these electrical systems and all that, and I can see that very well. Let's see here. What does building digitally mean to you? It's a good question, and it took me a little bit to answer, but it's okay.
Yeah, it is a little tricky one, but
It is.
I mean, building digitally, it's to me being able to see the complete project ahead of time. 2D, you can lay out your electrical conduits. I'm just speaking from experience here. You can lay out your electrical conduits, but you don't really get the overlay with the mechanical. You don't really get the overlay with the plumbing. On apartment buildings if they're going overhead or through the walls. You can see the walls a lot better in a digital world than you can just on paper.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it that's the way to go. I really like that. I think that and coordination helps tremendously in the field. And if you're coordinated, you save a lot of time, especially with RFIs, trying to get those generated, pushed through, and approved before it
Mm-hmm.
slows down the project.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of times I've been scolded for doing it ahead of time before it was approved.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's never bit me in the butt where the company lost money on it, but it's trying to keep the workflow going. You're on a deadline, and believe me, they'll delay a project for the masons, for the roofers, but not for electrician. Will not
Yeah.
push it back. Even on
That's
even
true.
on a change order, I had to start putting verbiage in there going, hey, this delays are us by a week or two,
Yep.
this change
Mm-hmm.
order. So you need to add that to your project schedule.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
you try to push it forward, but you can't.
Yeah.
Every time you make a change, you gotta add time, and people don't
Yep.
think like that.
No, they don't. And it's the same thing with my last job that I was on. We had this uh mezzanine that they built, and then there was a wall that needed to be built in a certain place, but we had this main drain line going across, and it was coming down too low, so they had to reroute that main drain line somewhere else, so that way they could build that actual wall, because that wall was actually going to be where my high panel was going to go, my 480 panel. And so I had to wait and wait and wait and wait. And they were like, well, when are you going to get this done? When are you going to get that done?
Yeah,
When are you going to get this done? And it's like, you haven't even built out this wall so I can actually power this place up with my 480 panel and stuff like that. And we're like, oh, okay, we'll have this wall. Can you have it up? Can you have that panel up the next day? And it's like, no, it's going to take time. You
yeah,
got to understand, like, this is a process. You have to build the wall, make sure it's good, and then we come in, make sure we're good, and we start building it out. And
yeah,
it's a process. Everything takes time. And if you keep delaying things, we got to add on more time.
yeah.
And then it got down to the wire where they just pushed the schedule up a week and said, okay, we got to be done with this project by Thursday. And it's like, what the heck, man? I don't even have this place powered up. And this is,
Yeah, yeah,
yep. So, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And, it's going to be better for all of us as BDC managers, BIM managers, is the time we're going to have to do, we're going to have to do this type of stuff. And then like say we make a mistake on the model or something like that, we can just change it, which is cool. We don't have to wait for this trade or that trade or this trade or that trade. We could just change it, get it done, and make sure the model is updated so that way, you know, the client is happy. We can present something to them in the beginning, like, okay, this is a rough model, this is what we're going off of, da 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 da, and we're gonna make it better, we're gonna make it better, and we're gonna make it better. So that's what I was, you know, trying to point out is, you know, these, we're trying to make these plans better for the client, but we have time to do it now. We're not being pushed by the general contractor or you know, the other trades and stuff like that. We have time to do this stuff. We have time to change this. We have time to do this. And that's what I like about this remote stuff is, and this BIM stuff is I have a lot more time to do things and, think things out and, make it better, so to speak. So, and I feel like somebody like you and somebody like me is gonna be a lot better for the situation of building out these models because we know what to do. We already know how to build out these electrical systems and do what we have to do to get the job done.